Hello, hello, and welcome back to our Elite Escapes. I'm Jim Sadlier, and today Dan and Melody sit down with Ashley from the Hilton All-Inclusive Collection. Take it away, Dan and Melody.
Thank you for that great introduction, Dad, and welcome back to our Elite Escapes. I'm your host, Dan Sadlier, with my co-host, Melody Sadlier, and we are so excited to have Ashley from the Hilton All-Inclusive Collection with us today. But before we bring on Ashley, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe below, like this video, share it with all your travel-loving friends, and if you stay to the end of this episode, you will get a sneak peek inside the Hilton All-Inclusive Collection. So with that, thank you again so much, Ashley, for joining us today. We are so excited to have you. Can you describe the Hilton All-Inclusive experience and how it stands out in the crowded luxury travel market?
I absolutely can. And first off, I also want to say thank you for having me. You guys definitely want to hit subscribe on this channel because there's some amazing information above and beyond what you're going to learn today about Hilton All Inclusive. But yeah, Dan, to answer your question again, the all-inclusive market, I talk about this often, is a very mature market these days, right? The all-inclusive experience has been around for quite some time. But over the last, few decades, it has really evolved into something where people are looking for a little bit more, not pretentious, but more sophisticated experience. Their palettes in terms of, bar experiences, restaurant dining experiences, the overall ambiance, the amenities in their rooms, those are things that people are looking for more than ever. And I use myself as a personal example. I have two young children, age 8 and 6. And when we go away, my wife and I really do enjoy, a nice dining experience. And we still want the kids to be kind of the focal point of the trip and for them to have a great time, but we really don't want to sacrifice in the end. So what we've done at Hilton All Inclusive by bringing in our over centuries long history and experience in EP hotels and resorts, having really specific, like honestly, revenue generating, exciting culinary experiences. We have brought a lot of that into the all inclusive portfolio. What that means is that each and every one of your lobby bars and lounges, restaurants, dining venues, even beachfront bars are really going to have a specific decor and ambiance that draws you in. Guests are going to feel like they're at a true, what's the best way to say it? Like a true, a standalone culinary experience. And that's really one of the big difference makers for us. But we've also made a massive investment in entertainment. For all different ages, so you're not coming to a Hilton All Inclusive just to get, maybe that culinary experience. But again, if you've got the younger kids or even teenage kids, like so many out there do, they're going to get specific entertainment geared to them, spaces, things that really don't leave anything for them to be desired. And then there's also a lot of great culturally influenced entertainment, in the evenings. There's also, great nightlife. I would say, any of our kind of lobby bars and areas are generally pretty vibrant until later hours of the evening. And I've seen everything from silent discos to live band karaoke. So, all in all, it's really about creating a sophisticated experience that gives it a price point achievable level of luxury. And then when you couple that with a brand that's so well known in Hilton, and then put that into all of these beautiful all-inclusive destinations, that's where we see our fit best. And we're looking forward to expanding the portfolio in the coming years.
As a grandma, I like to look for really fun things for my grandchildren to do. Now, Dan told me that you had some really great kids club. And there was one place that had this netting that the kids were climbing up and having a great time. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do, yes. So basically, and unfortunately, Dan was not allowed to experience this because he exceeded the age requirements available here. But we're talking about the kids club and teens lounge area at our Hilton Tulum Riviera Maya. So that is actually a bi-level teens club, kids lounge area with an kind of it's almost like an indoor air conditioned ropes course where kids can climb up through tunnels and be up on like the second level. It's all, all the safety is there. We've got that well monitored and everything. I can tell you, my kids absolutely loved climbing up in there. It was making me a little nervous watching them, but they had it handled. And honestly, it's just a great area for kids to go and play and to get a little bit of time away from mom and dad or vice versa, right? So that's just one of the many types of amenities that we have at many of our family-friendly resorts. Hilton Tulum being our largest resort in the Caribbean and Mexico within the all-inclusive collection, and actually, come to think of it, I believe it's our largest hotel in the Caribbean overall at Hilton. Is really a benchmark property and has a lot to offer for families with kids of all ages. So I love how you brought that story up about Dan's experience last summer with us. That was a good time.
He talks about it all the time. Talks about it. But one thing, just so our clients, our viewers know, they do have nonstop service now from Chicago to Tulum. So that's really great. We can go right over to the hotel right away instead of taking that hour-and-a-half ride.
There you go. Yeah.
That's an added plus for you. We have to go there.
So I think another thing that was going to be covered with that is that there's all these new resorts, and then you also have the Enclave Club that is a new is a concept within your resorts. So could you explain about? We're going to do two questions in one: the new resorts that have just opened up, because that's super exciting, and then also what the Enclave Club is and how that incorporates into the new resorts and all your resorts in general.
Absolutely, Dan. Yeah, no problem. So basically, we'll start with the new resorts, right? It's no coincidence that the backgrounds and the locations it looks like you guys are coming to from us live right now. A little bit of magic of Zoom and virtual meetings, right? Would be Dan's location. I'll first and foremost mention that is our newest resort in Curacao. So it's referred to as the Reef at the Mangrove Beach in Curacao. We opened a couple years back, essentially like a brand new resort called the Mangrove Beach Corendon. And it was right on the beach within walking distance to town. But it's because Curacao is so much more of a Dutch style island, very laid back, very casual. There's still a lot of folks that are looking for an all-inclusive experience and looking for a different destination than perhaps Mexico, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, all of which we, all those locations, we of course have all-inclusive resorts, but Curacao being a new one with less flights coming in, in comparison to some of these more popular destinations with thousands and thousands of rooms down there, we really wanted to step up our game in that destination. And so what we've done by opening the Reef is have something that's a bit more higher end that speaks to a lot of those selling points in our all-inclusive collection that I just mentioned, right? So the kind of upgraded culinary experiences, the full-on inclusions like your 24-hour room service and top shelf branded liquors. Those are things that the Reef brings to the table, which is much more interesting to those of us in the US and Canada that have a little bit more discerning palate and are looking to spend a little bit more on our vacation because we really want to go away and get some of that true value added luxury. So that has been the most recent addition to our portfolio, but it's again no coincidence that Melody's coming to us from one of our Enclave rooms at the Hilton Cancun Mar Caribe. So this is one of our other new openings. It just opened back in late 2023, so it's only a few months young, we'll call it. And it's a beachfront resort right in the heart of the Cancun hotel zone. So you're getting that wonderful white sand, blue water beach, centrally located with very easy taxi or bus service up to La Isla Shopping District, the nightlife district, the convention center, but still not amongst a lot more of like kind of the traffic that gathers on that northern point of the, as we call it, the Seven, the coastal area in Cancun. It's a beautiful resort that underwent an almost $100 million renovation. All of the rooms are incredibly expansive. And then, of course, segue coming, that room that Melody's coming to us from is part of our Enclave experience. So what Enclave is, that is basically our elevated, you can call it a club level experience at many of our all-inclusive resorts that we launched about a year or so ago. Tulum Riviera Maya, our resort in Vallarta, the Vallarta Riviera, as well as the Cancun Mar Caribe and the Hilton La Romana all have the Enclave treatment. So you're getting with that Enclave experience wonderfully located rooms that are going to be in premier spots within the resort. You're getting upgraded amenities like coffee experience and upgraded mini bar and things in your room as well. You're going to have a little bit of an advantage with getting like prime dinner reservations and things of that nature, although they're not required. It is pretty easy to grab those, but for folks who are really discerning about that, it also gives you a leg up there. And then you're also getting your own exclusive lounge access. And at some of the resorts, even your own pool area or your own, restaurant and things like that. So there's a lot of added value in the Enclave that really completes the resort experience. It allows guests that opt for it. And I always recommend check it out first. Start with the Enclave. Don't look back. Really try to go to that higher end experience from the minute, because if you can budget for that, honestly, you're not going to look back. I had a chance to experience a little bit of it on our own family vacation in Tulum, and it's well worth the extra value that you get with it. And again, that's a concept that we're going to continue to roll out at many of our resorts as we continue to expand the all-inclusive collection.
Wow. You cater to everybody. It's wonderful. And that was my next question I was going to ask you, but you did such a great job answering it. But you know what I want to know? We do have a lot of individual clients that do travel, that go solo. Do you have any special, anything special for them? Because I know you do great with families and you're doing, great with couples, but those people that travel by themselves.
Sure. Well, I think, looking at options for them, I mean, sometimes guests like that, may want to opt for like an adults only experience, right? And we do have some adults only resorts or resorts with adults only areas within the confines there as well. Some of those will be, a lot of king bedded options. That's always a good way to go, nice space to stretch out and everything. But I'll name a couple off the top of my head, both of which actually we had a chance to experience, and Dan was fortunate enough to stay with us at the Hilton Playa del Carmen. So that's actually an adults only property right in the heart of Playa del Carmen. So it's a very social kind of downtown area where you've got great shopping and nightlife and places to go meet others or go out and socially spend time. And then the resort itself is not couples only, so it is definitely full of adult groups that might be celebrating landmark birthdays or celebrating other kind of, big bachelorette parties, those types of things. So it's a great opportunity for guests who are single travelers to go and meet other people who are traveling singly, but perhaps in a group, and also not feel like they're in an overly coupley type of setting, which many of the resorts out there that are for adults are specifically for couples, and that wouldn't be as comfortable, I think, for someone who is traveling as a single. So we do have some options there. The Yucatan, for instance, has just undergone a really, actually at the time of this interview right here, we're doing some major improvements to that resort, and that's in the heart of Playa del Carmen as well. A little boutique style adults only that really puts you in the higher end residential section of Playa del Carmen within a short walking distance to the beach. So, and I don't want to eliminate some of these other beautiful resorts that are in the collection that may be family friendly and have availability there would still be great options because there's so much social vibrance to the main lobbies, the lounges, the common areas. So folks that are traveling by themselves have no problem meeting and interacting with other guests at the property.
Great.
Yeah, I think that all sounds great. And I think that's so true. That was the great thing about the Playa del Carmen property was right when you walked outside, you were like right there at Fifth Street and you're able to just go wander on down. And there's so much going on. It's such a lively, fun area, different restaurants, bars. I was thinking Coco Bongo, but I was trying to think of like a nightclubs and stuff like that. So a lot of stuff to do. But I agree with that also with family-friendly resorts. And that's what's nice about staying at family-friendly resorts is because a lot of times you can get those destination weddings or different multi-generational family trips and stuff like that as well. So you do meet a lot of other singles on the trip when you stay at family-friendly resorts. So,
ooh, and Dan, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I've got a great example that I left out. The Hilton La Romana, which is also, again, it has the enclave section, as I mentioned, but that's actually a resort that's half adults only and half family friendly. And it's perfect for groups of all different types, but especially those destination weddings and multi-generational trips. So that's another option right on the Bayahibe Beach area in only about a 45-minute nonstop transfer from Punta Cana, but it's actually in La Romana. So it's a great option, recently renovated, similar time frame to Hilton Playa del Carmen, but another one where you'd have that opportunity to meet a lot of folks that are part of groups. So that's a great mention.
Yeah, that's always what I've realized when going to family-friendly resorts. Sometimes you think there would just be kids, and it's really not the truth. You'll get the kids, but you also get the single adults and stuff, which is always fun. But this has been such a great start to the interview, and it was so great hearing about the enclave and the expansion of that. And I mean, that's really where you should start. I completely agree with that. Just because you don't want to get to the resort and then be like, man, I should have got that enclave club. So that was a great advice right there. But with that, let's take a quick 20-second break and I'll send it over to Jim.
Book your 2024 Windstar Iceland cruise today with Elite Travel and Events and receive a free drink package, a $59 a day value. Call us today.
All right. And we are back and we are with Ashley from the Hilton All-Inclusive Collection, and groups. There's so many groups nowadays. Everyone's traveling in a group. So we want to know about the group perks, which are very significant for people to book with you. So what are some of the most popular group perks that Hilton offers, and how do they vary by resort? Could you go into detail?
Absolutely. Yeah. As you started before the break, kind of getting into talking about like groups and how great that is for single travelers to meet. And we also provide a lot of great benefits for group leaders. Now, that could be anything regarding your, maybe it's your wedding couples. Maybe it is that matriarch, patriarch of the big multi-generational trip, which I've been seeing growing and growing and growing. Maybe it's, that person celebrating the big birthday. I've been on flights here recently where people are like, happy 43rd birthday party. They're looking for any reason to get together, get out and experience things, right? But getting back to it, our group benefits are pretty substantial because what we actually do is provide complimentary rooms depending upon the size of your group. And all we really ask for is just that small deposit up front to hold that space. What you do by locking in space on a group is guarantee that your price is not going to go up, because always what ends up happening is as you get closer to travel, the prices continue to rise and availability continues to wane. So when you can reserve that in advance and lock in the group, you're not only going to get benefits from us, like up to a maximum of 5 comp rooms for the group, depending upon how many rooms you book. And it's a lot of times going to be based on seasonality, but for a majority of the year, every 8th room is going to be complimentary with a majority of our all-inclusive portfolio. Now, we do have a great tool that's out there, and that's something that you can always share with any of your prospective, our mutual friends out there that are looking to book a Hilton All-Inclusive getaway, that breaks down a little bit in more detail by property. Instead of boring us with all the technical things, most of the time you can realize that the comps are very generous. And then there's also usually for that group leader, maybe the possibility of a complimentary upgrade on the main room for those that are bringing a number of different friends and family or whatever it may be down. So in the end, I think it can be done in a way that either provides a lot of value to that leader of the group that may have a lot of other expenses to cover if they're getting married, or maybe it's something that they can kind of share that wealth and say, oh, well, I'm traveling with a friend or family member. This person helped me build this group into what it is. I can provide some of that added value to them. But it really gives great incentive to book earlier in the game. That's always going to be best. We offer great promotions. For instance, our really kind of revolving calendar that we call the early booking bonus discounts, which allows guests to take advantage of the lowest pricing the further out that they book. It's always best for you to have something to look forward to. With a trip, that's part of the fun of it, right? Is having the actual vacation to look forward to before you travel. So if you can get it on the calendar earlier, mark that there, you have that much more time. You get to enjoy looking forward to the trip, and you know that you've saved money and locked in the lowest price. So that, I know it kind of all ties in with pricing and groups, but again, substantial benefits on complimentary rooms included between, the size of the group that you get and the time of the year that you travel.
I do a lot of destination weddings. Is there anything I could relate back to my bride and grooms about having a destination at one of their hotels?
So each one of our properties have their own dedicated destination wedding team. And we even have a specialist by the name of Gina Johnson. She's a beautiful colleague of mine that's helped curate 4 specific wedding packages for all different tiers of wedding couples that are looking to get married at the hotel. So whether it be, that's first off a uniform package that's available, or I should say a set of 4 uniform packages that are available, but also customizable, starting in with like kind of a lead-in package, which is like, your bare bones smaller group, someone that might want to just the very basics of the symbolic ceremony and the cake and the seating and everything for a number of guests, all the way up to a package that we call Cherish Captured, which is really extra event hours. We include photography with that. There's so many other things in there. I call it the full soup to nuts wedding package for someone who says, look, I don't want to have to figure out all the technical additions and things like that. I just want it to all be done for me. And, obviously I'll be a part of the planning process, but I don't want to have to worry about getting all these extras added on in between. And that Cherish Captured package allows for it. And then we have other options in between. That's just going to be really available at all of our Hilton All-Inclusive resorts across the entire portfolio. So any of those packages, it's very easy, where you guys are the experts on booking the travel and the rooms and whatever it is that guests need to get there and stay and have a wonderful experience. Our wedding team can honestly handle everything as far as the event goes, have the planning calls, anything to really help those couples out there that are looking to have a wedding experience at a Hilton All-Inclusive as smooth and easy as possible. And I will say that, that's another thing that we at Hilton are global experts in. It might not be this many all-inclusive resorts, but we have over 7,500 global hotels, and we are industry leaders in groups execution. So bringing that centuries-long experience over to destination weddings, celebrations, and social groups is another strength that really, should give you a lot of confidence in working with us for any type of wedding or social gathering.
Love that. Yeah, I remember when we were there checking out some of the Hilton All-Inclusive Collection, we saw some destination weddings and big groups, and it looked like a great experiences. So with that being said, we do have a couple questions from our audience. So Jen from Colorado asks, what recommendations do you have for families traveling with children to ensure a fun and stress-free vacation for both parents and kids? I know we already talked about a little bit about your kid zones areas, the kid centers. I mean, these places were honestly amazing. Like, I've been to so many different resorts and I was like blown away by them. Like, I remember the pools for the kids were huge. Like, they were really big and the kids were loving it. And then you go into these fun areas, these fun zones, kid zones, and amazing. Like this whole netted thing and everything that they have there. So
Yep.
If there's anything more you want to say about that.
No, for sure. Well, I'll give a couple general recommendations as well. First and foremost, it's get a nonstop transfer. Don't get a transfer that's going to have you stopping at any resorts along the way. Get from the airport to the property as soon as possible. That doesn't involve us specifically at Hilton All-Inclusive, but it's just a recommendation on these trips in general. Second would be do your research, really lean on the experts here with Dan and Melody to make sure that you're properly qualified for the right property that's going to have the amenities that we talked about, right? Some of our hotels are a little bit smaller, so they may not necessarily have as big and expansive of like a kids and teens area, but maybe some of those kids that you have are a little bit more low key. They like to just kind of sit by the pool and read a little bit, and they don't necessarily need tons and tons of activity. So there's going to be a fit out there, but we have gotten multiple resorts with water parks and, like I said, the kids clubs, the teens lounges to really make their stay special. The other big recommendation I would say is if you're on the fence about getting more space, go for it. Go for the suite option. Get the room that has more space, that has that extra connecting bedroom. We have room categories in all those different options. The Enclave is another really great upgrade that makes life easier for your family because they can help with a lot of other little kind of concierge type duties and things. The folks that we have as part of the Enclave experience really help make that vacation stay a little bit easier. So those are just a few suggestions. I think, me personally, I try to implement when I travel with the kids that, get as much space as possible, get to the resort as soon as you can, and make sure that you've got a lot going on for them to do, which we can check off all of those boxes throughout our portfolio of properties.
Wow, you are a wealth of information, I'll tell you. But you know what? Todd from Missouri asks, and this is a question I get all the time. He's traveling with his two teenage kids. Okay, it's him and his wife and two teenage children. Could they get connecting rooms and guarantee connecting rooms?
Yes. So at a number of our resorts, it's either going to be directly bookable for you guys. You can take care of that, or we will work together with you to make sure that those rooms are connecting in advance. As long as we know and you reach out to us. Now, again, seasonally, depending upon the time of year, there may be a small nightly fee to guarantee that connecting rooms, but it's more important to know that you can actually guarantee as opposed to request. So that is something specifically, and through our great partnership with you guys working closely with us at Hilton All-Inclusive, that is something that we can do. So yeah, I mean, when you're talking about traveling with teens and, I think that, resorts like Tulum are a great fit. I mean, there's many throughout our collection. La Romana is another great one, where they're a bit more expansive. There's areas for the teens to go and spend time on their own. We have programs, but it's more like space, like with, pool tables and video game sessions, places for them to kind of go and meet other teens in a more social environment that's not necessarily like forcing a lot of activities. It might be more appropriate for the younger kids. So definitely, Todd, we've got some great picks for you. So, it's a fantastic question. That's
great. That's so nice to hear.
And if there was one or two tips that you would give someone planning their first visit to Hilton All-Inclusive Vacation, is there a certain tip that you would give them?
Well, I would say try something new, right? I mean, we have options in so many different destinations, and I would say venture out to a destination maybe that you haven't been to before. You've got great guidance through the team here to really get you to a spot and we're going to have a really shining, either brand new or fairly new option for you there. I kind of mentioned some of the tips about those nonstop transfers and things of that nature. But, another thing is maximizing your stay and taking advantage of some of the things in the destination. One of the things that we did on the trip that Dan joined us for back in the summer was we got a little bit more of that Playa del Carmen experience because we have 2 resorts in downtown Playa. We walked along Fifth Avenue, stopped at a restaurant bar or two just to kind of experience town between visiting one of our properties, which is the Hilton Playa del Carmen, and the other one, which is the Yucatan. Only about a 5 to 10 minute walk between the two, but it was great to kind of get out and explore. Another thing, too, is all of our resorts are really in these wonderful destinations that have so much to offer. So there's great excursion opportunities out there. The team here can really help you, in booking and setting up some of those things as well to add and enhance your trip. But I mean, my gosh, there's Mayan ruins in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico along that kind of Cancun Riviera Maya coastline. You've got great snorkeling and diving excursions in Curacao. There's active reefs. There's boat and catamaran tours in that La Romana Dominican Republic area. And then, of course, Jamaica has a number of different options from like the Blue Mountain Coffee tours and tours of some of the different plantations and things that are there. I mean, obviously great golf. So, the thing I would say is that with an all-inclusive, there's a great deal of value. And really, the resorts have everything you need that if you didn't want to set foot outside the property for your entire vacation, you wouldn't need to. And that's really what we're trying to concentrate on, giving you the full experience at a Hilton All-Inclusive. But venture out, explore the areas. That's what travel's all about. I know I make sure we always go and do something active outside of the property whenever I travel, whether it's just with my wife, whether it's on my own, whether it's with a group of colleagues, or whether it's even with my kids. And I find that makes travel that much more rewarding.
Ashley, this has been great. You truly are a wealth of information. So thank you so much for joining us today here on our Elite Escapes. For anyone who is watching this episode who wants to experience the Hilton All-Inclusive brand, the collection, make sure to contact us here at Elite Travel and Events, and we will be happy to help plan your vacation. So with that being said, again, make sure, if you haven't already, to subscribe to this channel below, like this episode, and share it to all your travel-loving friends. And if you stay to the very end of this episode, you will get a sneak peek inside the Hilton All-Inclusive Collection. So again, thank you so much, Ashley, for joining us today, and we will see you next Friday.
Thank you so much for joining us today on our Elite Escapes. Make sure you come back next Friday as Dan and Melody sit down with Brian from Alita Resorts and Spa in Thailand. And now your sneak peek inside the Hilton All-Inclusive Collection.